Please continue to finish up your meals and your dessert. And we'd like to begin the program. This is an outstanding evening, and first off, I want to welcome all of you to another wonderful celebration of University of New England, Westbrook College, and St. Francis College athletics. I also want to obviously say, which you'll hear many more times this evening, what a wonderful class of inductees we have. And those of us that deal with the term Hall of Famers, every single one of our Hall of Famers is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And not only are they first ballot Hall of Famers, their teammates, their coaches, and of course their families. This year's class includes athletes from St. Francis, Westbrook, and the University of New England. We have 5 individuals with outstanding credentials and a championship team that won St. Francis College its first men's soccer championship. For me, having been here in a short span of time, on a personal note, I want to make mention of 2 very special women who have helped elevate the entire university to make our athletics department and the university this high level of excellence that it is. I would like to personally thank President Daniel Ripich and our volleyball coach Carol LaRue for this special induction to the Hall of Fame. Thank you very much. I also, for those that are here, if we would, any former inductees, if you could all please stand, and those of you that are inducted as an individual or inducted as a team, could you please stand? And as you'll see later on this evening, we have a tremendous display that we want to show you before you leave. And it's going to honor not only our class of 2016, but the entire 40-plus members of our Hall of Fame. We want to thank you all for being here and your process as student athletes, as well as all you've done as alumni at St. Francis, Westbrook, and the University of New England. We have a replica of the plaque that is displayed in the lobby for you, and we hope to have one for you that you'll be able to take home this evening to put in your office or your family room or whatever. So this display, and we'll give thanks to John Tamil and Kurt Smith and Rob Verrier a little later too, but it really is a tremendous, great step forward. In addition to celebrating the great success of the past, we have a quick little video we'd like to show you of the great successes of our current teams, coaches, and student athletes. Please turn your attention to the video screen to see a wonderful 2-minute production that I know you'll be very proud of. Special thanks to UNE's Office of Communications for putting this wonderful video production together. Okay, Dave, all yours.
I work out 3 times a day. I do various types of drills, shooting and dribbling, and I also do strength and conditioning work.
As a student athlete at UNE, you have to be able to put the work in. When I'm working out, I'm working towards those moments in a game when the pressure's high, you need that perfect first touch or that extra sprint. Those are the moments that you're working for.
When I work out, I feel in control, but all the stresses from the day just seem to fade away, and all I have to focus on is pushing myself to the limit.
My parents always taught me that if you want to achieve, you don't have to be the best or the most talented, you just have to work the hardest.
I practice so much so that when I need to be there for the team, I'm ready.
A team works when everybody plays their role.
That you just feel like you're a part of something so much bigger than just yourself.
We're all here for the same reasons. We love the sport, we love the game.
I think first and foremost, the UNE program is about family. It's about individuals coming together, caring for one another for a common goal.
Do you want excellence? Do you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself? Do you want to make a difference? If so, join us. Become a Nor'easter.
The student athletes and coaches at the University of New England are very excited about the upcoming season. Please join us for some great games. We are UNE! We are UNE! We are UNE!
That video is outstanding, done by our Office of Communications, and it does not only represents the student athletes that are here now, but it represents all of you and the hard work that you've done to be what you are today. It really was special. I'm just a little worried that when my brothers and sisters see that video, they're going to start calling me McMoses after my little thing here. But it really was a tremendous event, and just so you'll know, that video was done at 7 o'clock in the morning. And we had 400 student athletes in blue shirts, and they were so enthusiastic, and unfortunately we couldn't get that done in one take. It took us a few tries. But again, that's a great celebration of everybody in this room, as well as our student athletes that are here. As we move forward, I'd now like to introduce our Senior Associate Director of Athletics and Master of Ceremonies for the evening, someone who has been very involved in getting all of this program set up, and he's done a great job over the many years. I'd like to introduce Senior Associate Kurt Smythe. Kurt?
Thank you, Jack, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this historic event. As I introduce tonight's inductees, I would encourage you to refer to the event program for further information and detail on each inductee. This evening's first inductee is the 1964-65 St. Francis College men's soccer team. Under the direction of head coach Bruce Young, the Red Knights posted an impressive record of 10 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties in the fall of 1964 on their way to the Colonial Intercollegiate Soccer League Northern Division Championship. That title was the first title won by a St. Francis College athletics team. At this time, I'd like to introduce members of that team and ask those in attendance this evening to please come forward. Joseph Anderson, Joseph Austin, Thomas Brazier, Peter Chevanel, John DiCristoforo, George Fink, William Finn, Robert Freeman, Michael Gilroy, Edward Colleen, William McCallick, Thomas Murphy, Mark Willett, Terry Pellegrini, Lawrence Pristevic, Frank Romeo, Merrill Sine, Robert Sheehan, Walter Sullivan, Anthony Traynor, Thomas Tunney, James Vendito, and Charles Welch. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1964-65 St. Francis College men's soccer team. Speaking on behalf of the group this evening, will be Peter Chevenel.
Good evening. I have to make this very quick because Amy insisted that I keep it to an hour and a half. Please, don't run. I'm just kidding. To begin, I would ask you to join me in a moment of silence for three individuals who are not with us here tonight, who are such a big part of our team. Their pictures are over there. Frank Romeo, Tony Trainer, and our coach, Bruce Young. Thank you. You have all heard, I'm sure, of the Black Knights of the Hudson. Well, we were known as the Red Knights of the Saco. We as seniors had 4 coaches in 4 years. That is not exactly what one thinks of in terms of establishing a dynasty. We started out under Coach Sutton, the following year Coach Beaudry, and then Coach Badgery. And they all left their mark on us. They all contributed to the solid foundation which ultimately became the team that I'm very honored to speak on behalf of. There are mixed numbers as I look at records. One was that in 1963, we were 1-10. The other, that we were 3-7-1. I like to believe that one. It's less embarrassing. Our senior year, a young man arrived on campus that Coach Beaudry found, and we thank him for that. His name was Bruce Young. This was 1964. He was a vital member of the Westchester State College 1961 national champion Division I team. As a senior, he was only a few years older than me, and that led to some interesting situations as we embarked on the season. He was a man that brought enthusiasm, fantastic knowledge of the game, and drove us to become the champions that we're fortunate in being honored tonight. I remember pre-season, we never touched the soccer ball for the first week. We ran in the soft sand of Hills Beach and beyond, and we ran, and we ran. And some of us were foolish enough to wear ankle weights, but we were in shape. When we finally had the luxury of touching a soccer ball, we were in shape, and then he had to instill in us the desire and the skills. We were diverse before diversity became a common word. I'm not talking only in terms of ethnic backgrounds, French, Irish, Italian, and Lord knows what else. I'm talking in terms of the fact that we were a very mixed team. We had a few players who had played soccer who had exceptional skills, and there were many of us, myself included, who were reformed football players and hockey players and brought that element to the game of soccer. We did have in common, besides diversity, we had determination. We played hard, we worked hard, and our championship was earned through a great deal of work, not always a lot of talent. We were dedicated. We were dedicated to each other, we were dedicated to St. Francis, and we were dedicated to our coaches. To be honored tonight is beyond words. I want to extend my gratitude to those who made this happen. On behalf of my teammates, I want to thank you all very much. In closing, I'm reminded of the words, and is Professor Hennedy here tonight? I was hoping I could finally impress him, my former English teacher. I would like to leave you with the words of Lord Alfred Tennyson, or Alfred Lord Tennyson, I should say, from his poem Ulysses. We are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and never to yield. And I think that captures the essence of this team. I thank you for honoring us, and I thank my teammates for allowing me to be part of such a fantastic group. Thank you.
Tonight's next inductee is Ron McCarthy, class of 1995. Ron was a four-year basketball standout who finished his career with 1,562 points to rank him in the top 10 in the history of the men's basketball program. An all-conference and all-state performer, Ron totaled 791 rebounds, a number that today still places him amongst the career leaders in that category. Tonight we induct Ron posthumously after his passing in 2014. Accepting the induction on his behalf is his brother, Michael McCarthy, class of 1999.
Good evening. John Tamale called me the other day and was like, do you want to make a speech about your brother? And I'm sitting there and we had 68 evacuees from the East Coast because we just had Hurricane Matthew hit us. And I work at I'm an administrator at a rehab facility in Florida. And I'm like, yeah, let's see if I have some time to do this. So hopefully I make my brother proud right now. On behalf of my family, we'd like to thank the UNE Hall of Fame Committee for honoring our brother, Ron McCarthy. We would like to congratulate the other Hall of Fame recipients in this year's class. My brother would have been humbled to be inducted with you all. When I was asked to say some words about my brother, I immediately started to think, what would my brother say right now? What emotions would he be feeling? What stories would he tell? Who would he want to thank? I know he would feel blessed and honored to be part of this Hall of Fame and this special class. It was Carol LaRue that presented my brother with his 1,000-point ball. So congratulations, Carol. You played such a major role in so many student-athlete lives. We thank you for that. Anyone that knows my brother knows how much he loved the sport of basketball. He loved being part of the UNE family. It was basketball which kept him focused on academics and drove him to succeed. Ron was an intense player that never backed down from a challenge. If the opposing team started to get physical, then Ron would be the first one to step up to the challenge. And yes, I am sure if UNE kept records of technical fouls, Ron would be tops in that category as well. During my brother's junior year, he had to make a tough decision to step away from the game. My mother was terminal with cancer, and he wanted to give his full attention to his family and his academics. He took on this incredible challenge of trying to balance school and dealing with the loss of our mother and supporting his family. He did not pick up a basketball for a full year. This embodied who he was. He always put his family first. He came back for his senior year and completed his academics and basketball career. Ron left UNE in 1995 and started his career as an occupational therapist. He became a director of rehab, and then a regional director of rehabilitation services, operating 13 skilled nursing and rehab facilities. Ironically, Ron did not leave the game of basketball. So after his experience with the many technical fouls he received in college and the many debates he had with referees, Ron became a referee himself. He was extremely successful as a referee and moved up to Division II NCAA basketball, which he was invited to the SEC basketball referee camp. This would have brought him closer to his next challenge, which was becoming a Division I referee. Unfortunately, that goal was cut short as my brother was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 40. I will never forget going to MD Anderson in Texas. The night before we met the oncologist, the hotel booked us reservations to a local restaurant. The minute we went into the cab, Ronnie started talking to the cab driver, asking about the cab driver's family and joking around with the cab driver. What Ronnie always did. He loved people. The cab driver looked at both of us and said, "Forget the place the hotel recommended. I have a special place." He brought us 3 miles away from the hotel that night to a little hole-in-the-wall seafood restaurant. Mind you, Ron has not truly eaten in a month at this point. That dinner, Ron had so many helpings of seafood, it brought back his will to fight. Provided him with so much energy that night that we ended up walking back to the hotel. For 3 miles, he told me stories about his times at UNE, how much the school and teammates and professors and friends meant to him. As we were sitting on the oncologist's room the next day, Ron's spirits so high from the previous night and all that seafood that he ate, he felt confident he was gonna get great news. The physician came in and gave him the news that nobody ever wanted to hear. My idol, my best friend, my teammate, my coworker, my brother was faced with an incredible challenge. He never wanted to quit. He accepted the challenge once again. He gave cancer a great fight, a fight that people were inspired by. Unfortunately, he lost his battle on St. Patrick's Day, of all days, of 2014. During my brother's last days, he was still the same individual that would tell stories and make everyone laugh. I want to take the time to thank people I know he would want to recognize tonight. I know he's here right beside me, so I hope to do my best to talk on his behalf. I know he would thank his coaches and teammates. He would thank his sister Diane for introducing him to UNE and playing a role in recruiting him to attend. He would thank her for taking care of his wife and 2 children, Gabrielle and Liam. He would tell her how happy and proud he was that she and her husband Craig played a pivotal role in moving his family close to us and his children's cousins. They're only 1 block away from us now. We'd also thank Craig for allowing him to beat him in Words with Friends once in a while. He would thank his brother Tim for keeping him on his toes and providing him with unconditional support and love. He would thank our mother for teaching him strength, courage, and how to never back down from a challenge. He would thank our dad who taught him what a father and husband should be, and taught him the game of basketball. I know my dad is one proud father right now. He would also thank the UNE family, especially Al Schenkel and John Tamil. Al has always played a role in my brother's life, gave him guidance during his illness, and has continued to support his family during difficult times. He would also want to recognize and thank John. John Tamil has been a part of the McCarthy clan since Diane started in the UNE OT program in 1988. Hopefully I got that date right. John is special. The UNE family is fortunate to have someone that cares so deeply for his students and their families. I personally want to thank John for completing my dad's wish this past June, prior to his death. When my dad became terminal with cancer, his one goal was to make it to tonight. John came to the hospice house the day he passed and gave a presentation to my dad on what this night was going to look like. Thank you, John. Words will never be enough to thank you. You truly have been a true friend. I look forward to bringing his children here someday to show them how special their daddy was. Maybe someday they will be playing here and following their dad's footsteps. On behalf of his wife Patty and the whole McCarthy family, we thank UNE for this great honor. Thank you.
Our next inductee this evening is Christine Grillen, Westbrook College, class of 1995. One of the most accomplished basketball players to put on a jersey for the Wildcats, Christine scored 1,337 career points, which was the second most for a Westbrook College player and currently ranks her in the top 10 in the UNE record books. She is among the women's basketball career leaders in assists with 323, steals 251, and points per game at 16.6. At this time, I'd like to ask Christine Grillen to please come forward.
Good evening, and the toddlers are ours, so we're trying to round them up. I'm a little out of breath because I'm a little bit older than I was 20 years ago. Thank you for the committee, for the induction. Thank you, all the guests, my guests, and former inductees and current inductees. It's a pleasure, it's a privilege, an honor that I never thought I would be a part of. I do want to start with a moment of silence with Stacy McLean was my, she was my freshman year roommate and former recruit. Like, we were recruited together. We played against each other in the McDonald's All-Star game. And she lost her life too soon. And also, I'd like to pay tribute to Professor Roberts. He was a mentor, a father figure, professor of humanities, and they deeply touched my life. So if you wouldn't mind, please. I want to thank, I was so privileged to play with among the most talented of small college women's basketball players in my time. Against them, I was mentored by some of the best. James Graffam, who sits here today and was an inductee a year ago. Julie Ludden, Kurt Smythe's wife. And at the time, Kurt was an assistant at St. Joseph's College, and I think he'd rather see me wearing the blue and red at the time, and I wear it tonight, so we'll give you that, Kurt. And Julie was my assistant, and she's a Northern Maine girl, so we got along very well, and that hard-nosed determination, small school mentality, got grit, was passed on and just appreciated, I think, between the both of us. And we spoke tonight, and that's some of the common discussions we had. I do want to thank Sally and Jerry Johnson, which no one knows but my parents, and they were the first coaches I've ever had, and that was in Biddy Ball in New Jersey when I was 8 years old, and that's when I was first exposed to the game of basketball. They taught me the fundamentals. They didn't have to teach me the love of the game. That just came. That came naturally, and they'll never leave me. And I do thank them for their guidance. I thank my parents for introducing me to sports. Although they always wanted to see me succeed, they never pushed me in any direction. It came. And it was just something I took to, I spent a lot of time on, and I spoke to some of my students who are some of the most at-risk students in the greater Boston area today about some of my accomplishments. And I told them it wasn't bragging, it was just to show them that, you know, if you put in a lot of hard work, you've got a goal, you got a dream, you can do it too. And I came from a small school graduating class of 63, came to Westbrook College under Mike Bridges and Jim Graffman at the time as the athletic director, and had a heck of a career. And I just had some fantastic people supporting me. I do want to pay my respects to the Lewis family, who has joined us tonight. And a little story about them is that Mandy, who's about 4 years younger than me, was one of my first campers. You know, when you're in college sports, you do the summer circuit, and you do a hoop camp, and you go up to Colby College, and you go to Gold Star with Mike McDevitt. You do the circuit, you make a little bit of money on the side, and so we were, I believe, at Gold Star camp. It was a team camp over at the Southern Maine Community College, I believe, at the time, and so she was there for team camp, and you know, at the end of the whole thing, and everyone's trying to leave, and she's like, you gotta meet my mom, you gotta meet my mom. And that was like a first for me, and I was like, all right, yeah. Like, I met Judy Lewis, and like, within minutes, it was like, you gotta come to our camp, you gotta come see our family, and oh, we got a boat, and this and that, in the lake, and I was like, wow, like, I never knew these people. I just met them a minute ago, and they took me in because their daughter believed in me and saw something in me. And they pretty much probably went to every single game that was in the area, and when my junior year, I was injured. I had the shoulder surgery, and I couldn't go home. I had to stay in the area for practices, and it was over the winter break. They let me stay with me, of course, college, and Jim had to approve it, but I stayed with the Lewises in Buxton, and they helped rehabilitate me. And I've been friends with Mandy for 25 years. I was at her wedding. She was in my wedding. She has Anderson, a wonderful toddler, and I have Paxton, maybe the louder toddler in the room. But so the point of that is sports brings people together, and in the least expected ways. And in the 20 years I've left Westbrook College, University of New England, summer basketball, women's leagues, you name it, on the street here and there, you just recognize names, you recognize faces, and you just reconnect, and it's like, hey, yeah, I remember you from Castleton. Hey, I remember you from Johnson State. And that's what's probably the most memorable part of athletics. And when Derek Vogel, who of course was inducted, I think several years ago, he was privileged to, I would say privileged because it's calling me, of course. I answered during one of my prep periods at school, so that's very, very half an hour, a little lot. So Derek calls me, I don't have his number, I was a telemarketer. He said, hey, Christine, how you doing? Good. What's going on? He's like, well, you know, you're getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I thought he was kind of full of crap, and I only say that because there's a better story before that. When I was in Hersey Hall my freshman year, I got a phone call in the payphones at the time. This is before cell phones. I know that's kind of crazy to think of, but you got the payphone call. And it was a person that said, "Hey, are you Christine Groen for Westbrook College?" I'm like, yeah. He goes, "We'd like to spotlight you in the faces in the crowd in Sports Illustrated. When can we meet you at the university, at the college?" And I thought, wow, that's great. Well, it was Derek playing a joke on me. I didn't find out a couple nights later that him and Corey McClure and Andy Lennon and the boys got one on me, because we used to stay up till probably 1 in the morning watching ESPN at the two-seater couch and watching each other's legs twitch, who could change, And so I told him the story, and he kind of remembered it, but it was nice that this time it's for real, because this wasn't a night that I really thought would happen, I guess. You don't really think about it when you play sports. Just do it, you love it, and you move on, and you reminisce. I've coached in middle school, I've coached in high school. I did a little stint at Bunker Hill, and I left the coaching realm to raise a son. And so getting back to the beginning, what got me here is youth basketball, and the biddy ball, and the families, and the little people that you don't see in the paper, you don't see on TV, and you don't know, because they're your neighbors, or your cousins, or someone else's cousins, and that's where it starts. And that's instilling the love of the game. And if everyone can leave here tonight loving the game, and whatever that is for you, then I think that we're going to be doing okay. And I just hope that I can pass that on to my son. And just hope that everyone can remember that's where it starts. This is wonderful. I'm more than honored. I'm beyond thrilled. But that's where it begins, and that's where I'm planning on moving my time. So thank you very much. And I have to do a shout out to Victor Joubert. He's my boy. Now this guy, I work at Malden High School with him a couple years ago, right? And who knows that his wife's brother is being inducted tonight, Sean Melnick, correct? And they're expecting a little baby boy Lucas in a week or two. So I do want to say congratulations, folks. And I kind of know you, Sean, but I don't. And, oh, sorry, all right, I don't know, right? I don't know you, but congratulations. And it's a small world, and that's what sports is about. It's connections. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Sean Melnick, class of 2002. Sean ended his lacrosse career as the program's all-time leader in goals scored at that time, racking up a total of 124 goals. His average of 2.7 goals per game still ranks him first all-time in that category. Sean is the first men's lacrosse player to be enshrined in the University of New England Athletics Hall of Fame. It's my pleasure to introduce Sean Melnick.
Good evening, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here tonight. Thanks so much to the University of New England and the athletic department for this recognition. I'd like to thank my family and friends that made the trip up to be here with me tonight. And I'd also like to congratulate all my fellow inductees for their own accomplishments. The University of New England has such a special place in my heart. I was drawn here because of the emphasis that they place on health sciences and, of course, the beautiful charm of Biddeford Pool. Lacrosse was a secondary thought. I wasn't even sure I would end up playing when I first came here. I distinctly remember walking across the gym floor on my first visit here as a high school senior, and I left a note for Coach Biggs just to introduce myself. Not knowing much about the program, I told him I was an incoming freshman from Londonderry, New Hampshire, and I hope to try out for the team in the fall. To turned out that the team had been struggling for several years, and actually they had to fold mid-season the year before I came with injuries, and so it was certainly a challenging situation to come into. And I remember when I first got here, I befriended a sophomore that played on the team, and I asked him about tryouts, and he said, "Well, do you have a stick?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Congratulations, you made the team." We found out very quickly we had a lot of work ahead of us. We were inexperienced and had limited numbers, but we were committed, and we wanted to be part of rebuilding the program despite the challenges. And the next 4 years were certainly an uphill battle. It wasn't easy, it wasn't glamorous, but we fought together because we loved the game and we wanted to be out there. I was fortunate to play a role in the team that gave me a lot of scoring opportunities, and I never lost sight of the fact that it really hinged on everyone else's contributions to make the saves, to win the ground balls, to clear the ball, make the passes, and little by little we got better at that. It's been 14 seasons now since I walked off the field the last time at New England College. That was our last game, and I remember distinctly because I got a Gatorade jug dumped on my head. Since our time there with Coach Biggs first and then Coach Dugan, the program has just grown by leaps and bounds. UNE clearly has made such a commitment to supporting their athletics and having it be an integral part of the overall experience here. And Coach Hunt first, and now Coach Burke, who's joining us tonight, they've done such a great job recruiting quality talent that we would have just dreamed of when we were playing here. And it really makes me happy to know that I was a little bit a part of that turnaround, and it means a lot. I think the team and the program that they have right now is a real threat at the highest levels of our conference. I was talking with Coach Burke earlier, and they're ready to win it all this year, and I can't wait to be on the sidelines to watch. But I'm really honored to be the first men's lacrosse player to be inducted into this Hall of Fame, and I look forward to seeing many more of those that have helped build our program share this distinction. I'm very proud of the small contributions we made together many years ago that are now part of a tradition and a program that just continues to grow and soar. My time here at UNE has had such a big impact on my life. I have a young family now, a beautiful wife, Sarah, 2 children, my 4-year-old daughter, Ella, and a 2-year-old son. They're both lacrosse players already, of course. We come here every summer, and some of our fondest memories are as a family right here in Biddeford Pool. I think that's special. There's not a lot of universities that can really have the kind of impact and be such a big part of your life beyond college. So appreciative of all the experience UNE has given me. I draw many parallels, particularly in my professional career, about the lessons I learned here about perseverance. At the time, we felt like we were starting from scratch. I remember we had to design t-shirts for a fundraiser, and we put on the back of the t-shirts a new tradition, and that's really how we felt about it. We wanted to build towards something that would far outlive our time here at UNE. It was such a valuable lesson to be part of something in its nascency and to be not discouraged for what it was at the time, but to have a vision for what it could be. I'm confident that this is a responsibility that Coach Burke continues to instill in his players today. Sometimes it's hard to see the progress when you're in the midst of your challenges, but it's the effort that you put in that ultimately matters. This place has given me so much, and it's a blessing to call UNE my alma mater. I earned an education here and gained much more. Most importantly, UNE has given me some lifelong friends that treat my kids like they're their own, and it's no coincidence that they're here tonight by my side like they've always been. It means a lot. Again, thank you very much. This is such an honor, and I'm deeply humbled, and I can't appreciate enough how much it means to me to receive this recognition. So, thank you.
Our next inductee is our current head volleyball coach, Carol LaRue. A member of the athletics staff since 1979, Carol has coached volleyball, basketball, and softball here at UNE, while also serving as Director of Athletics from 1980 through 2006. As a volleyball coach, she has totaled nearly 700 victories and ranks among the NCAA's winningest coaches. Carol is also a member of the University of Maine Presque Isle Hall of Fame, as well as an inductee into the Maine Sports Legends Hall of Honor. At this time, I'd like to ask Carol LaRue to please come forward.
Phew, wow. Don't be laughing in the back room, because I told them there's some good news and bad news, and my bad news is that I have to wear glasses to read what I wrote for thoughts, and the good news is when I put them on, I don't see all of you so clearly. Well, all the things that I have accomplished, one of the things I probably haven't accomplished, or accomplished the least, and that is standing up in front of you right now and having to give this acceptance speech. Doing well already. Kurt, thank you for the presentation and introduction. And I want to thank everyone in the Hall of Fame committee that was responsible for thinking of me for this award. I feel honored to be standing here with the other inductees this evening. Some of you I know quite well, McCarthy family, our soccer player, and so to share the same evening with you all is just a wonderful thing. I'm very emotional with this award. I gotta be really honest. I have received numerous awards and recognitions over the years, but this is the most meaningful and the most personal honor that I have ever received, and I'm really flattered. Why? Pretty simple. UNE's my home. UNE's my community. UNE's been my family, my friends. Listen to the stories of the folks that came before me. It's just a wonderful place. And to be honored in a place where I've spent 37 years of my life is truly a blessing. I need to tell you something a little funny about the early days of 1979. How I got here. Most of you didn't know me. But long story short of it, I had recently graduated from college in the spring of 1979. And like every college grad, you're looking for some opportunity and a break and looking for a place to work. And I had applied to several high schools. I had my heart set at Morris High School in Bath. I was hoping to get the job as a swim coach, basketball, and teaching health and sciences. And to get down to the final two, and it's getting nervous. It was the end of August, September closely approaching. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting at the table with my mom and dad, and my mom was looking at the newspaper, and she says, "Did you see this? There's an ad here at St. Francis College. They're looking for a women's volleyball coach, they're looking for a basketball coach, and they're looking for a softball coach. And why don't you inquire? Those are the three sports that you have experience in. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll accept you for one of those." The funny thing about that is I called, and I did inquire. I talked to our human resource office, and they told me, sorry, you're too late. We just finished our last interview, and you know, thanks for being interested. It wasn't within 24 hours, I received a phone call from the man who has changed my life, that gave me the opportunity to be here, and that was Jim Beaudry. How many people love Jim Beaudry? The story gets a little more comical because Jim Beaudry calls me and he says, you have an interview with Student Affairs tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And I said to Jim, I says, really? I says, I just got off the phone with HR yesterday. He says, you do. But somehow Jim Beaudry went to bat for me, thinking that the university ought to take a look at me. He, being a local athlete and participating in a Maine college, he was familiar with my background. I was working as a lifeguard at the time at the beach. And I got a call and I said, you know, I don't think I can even make it to the interview. The only way I'm going to get there if God makes it rain. Because I have to be on the beach and we work 7 days a week. And I don't know what to do. I can't leave my post. It's too short notice. And I don't know. I get up the next morning, downpour. Downpour. The thing is, you still have to report to work on those kind of days. So I go to work, and what do lifeguards do on the beach? You rake seaweed, you pick up the trash, you ride around in the truck, you keep yourself occupied. And my boss comes up to me and says, Carol, it's raining. Why don't you call St. Francis and ask them why they want to talk to you so badly? It's looking a little grim for this Morse High School job, and at that point I found out that I did lose it. It came down final two and I didn't have the job. I said, really? So I grabbed a dime, yes, a dime, and I ran to a phone booth, one of those real phone booths back then. And I called and I said, I'm going to be there. I don't care what anybody tells you about what you're supposed to wear to make your first best impressions to your first interview in your college interview, that is. So lo and behold, Carol LaRue shows up, a 350 Honda motorcycle, sporting the most beautiful raincoat you ever saw, a fluorescent orange bathing suit underneath that said lifeguard that I tried to hide, a pair of jeans, a pair of sandals, and I knocked on the Student Affairs Dean's office, greeted by the most well-dressed gentleman I ever seen, and I warned him already. Talked to him for about half hour, and he says, the job is yours. I says, when do I start? He says, tomorrow. I'm like, wow. And I said, so what did you hire me for? He said, all three. So that's how I came to UNE, because I've been asked that story many, many, many times of why I chose the University of New England, or how I got to the University of New England. But the biggest question I always get is, why did you stay there so long? Why didn't you ever leave? And I had numerous opportunities to leave. I've been offered jobs at Division I schools and all kinds of things. The bottom line is, or my biggest answer is why? Why would I? Why do I need to leave? You hear the stories today of all the student athletes' lives that have come and go and passed before us through this athletic department. I came in to a university that believed in me from the get-go. A university that gave me my first break, a university that gave me a chance. They even, within 3 years, they asked me to serve as an interim for a year as the director of athletics for both men's and women's sports. This was a year post Title IX in those days, and I became, our college named me, the first female athletic director, and I was the first and only one in New England, and only 4 of us in the country. So, I've worn a lot of hats here at UNE, and you've heard many of those. And some of the things I've done, even you wouldn't believe. I was also a house mother and an RA. Of course, we started the clubs and intramural programs here on campus. The one that will get you really good, especially Sue Estabrook, one of our coaches at our department. I was the advisor to Mrs. Dice, 1800s woman's fashion show. And we did this performance for 3 springs. I like to say that, you know, you all NFL buffs out there, Terry Bradshaw once said, and I'm going to quote this, "When it's all said and done, and the crowd finally goes home, and we are left with our thoughts, we sit back and say, it's the people. It's the people who we share it with. And this is really true to me, and this is really true of my heart. It's all the people, all of you, that have crossed my path in life, all the many student athletes that I had the opportunity to work with. It's the support and working relations with my co-workers. Every day coming to work and having another smile or another hello. It's my administration. I've been through 4 college presidents, and all 4 college presidents have been nothing but believing in me and believing in the department and believing in that I had way back there the vision that someday this place could be as it is today. One of the things I remember most, and I'm sidetracked a little bit, is we went from a facility, and Dean Johnson is here tonight, Associate Director at Caldwell University and established softball coach himself. We went from a time period where I got lost to my own basketball game for my home game, trying to find Massabesic. We had 5 home court. Dean Johnson played against Chad Bond from St. Joseph's College, and at the time an era, if those of you that have been around, John, you were here, he was like the standout, and St. Joe's was like our biggest rivalry. And where did we play Chad Bond? At Wells High School, where he graduated from. And this was one of the playoff games, where we stood there with Chad Bond and St. Joe's having hundreds of fans, and St. Francis, lucky if we had 30. We've come a long way, and from there to the campus center and outgrowing that and being part of all of that process, you look around, look at what President Rippich has done for us just in the 10, 11 years you have been here. You have put the wind, as you said, between our sails, and you moved us forward in a direction believing what athletics can do for a college campus, and I thank you for that, Dr. Rippich. And when this facility opened, they were telling me that your first game was going to be the opening October 18th in 2012. 15 years before that, we were working on these kinds of plans. I always wondered if I'd still be here to be part of that. I sat upstairs in that lobby and I was told, don't you enter your office until Monday morning. Friday night, when it was really quiet, I snuck in. I sat up in that lobby, I cried like a baby. I love UNE. UNE is a great place to be and be part of. Why would I leave? It's the people. My mom is sitting here today. It was my parents. I want to thank you, Mom. And if Dad was here today, looking down on us, he'd be very proud of me. My dad is also a baseball Hall of Famer. He gave me my competitive edge. He gave me the strive. My parents gave me the qualities I needed to succeed. And of all the gifts my parents gave me, the one that stands out the most for me is they've always been behind me and believed in me. They gave me the gift to believe in myself. To Donna, who's been the best friend ever, standing by me through thick and thin, difficult times. To my friends, the Spulicks, the Haas family, they're here today. And I know Amelia wanted me to say hi, Amelia. Hi, Amelia. Matt, the Rogers family, who are leaving shortly from here that stayed. They have property in Florida that's also been affected by Hurricane Matthew, but again, spending the time with me. I love you guys. I look over there, there's a surprise table, former alumni. I can see you now. And they're reminiscing and telling stories for the bus trips and everything else and things I wouldn't even dare to say in public. So I'm humbled by this award. The one thing I just want to say, I think I'm the only athletic director, and I believe that we're the only probably college and university ever. We need to get in the Guinness Book of Records. That in 1976, I was a knight when I started in August. I was a wildcat before the holidays, and by the spring, I became a nor'easter. So I love UNE. I'm proud to be a nor'easter, and I'm glad I'm still here, and I'm glad you still give me those opportunities to contribute, no matter how small. Like I said, whatever hat I have to wear, I'm thankful to be part of this community and to this family. Thank you very much.
This evening's final inductee is our president, Danielle Rippich. UNE's 5th president, President Rippich, has increased enrollment and dramatically expanded the university's academic and athletics programs. Under her inspiring leadership, the athletics win rate has almost doubled, while men's ice hockey, women's rugby, football, and women's crew have been added. She has been a bold, visionary leader who has asked students, faculty, and staff to steer for the deep waters only. It's my pleasure to introduce our president, Danielle Rippich.
Well, I have to say, tonight's been really powerful, emotional time for me. When Jack McDonald came and told me that I had been elected to the Athletic Hall of Fame, I teared up. And that's, I'm not a crier. As a president, it doesn't inspire confidence when you start weeping, when your folks come and talk to you. I had to excuse myself and go to the ladies' room. And so I thought, why was this such an emotional thing? And listening to everyone tonight, I agree with Carol, it's very humbling. There's something about what athletics does, the role it plays in our lives, I think that binds us together in a way, a very special way. So I'm honored to be here. It is humbling as well, as others have said. And one thing I want to point out that I realized sitting in the audience, we have a really unique experience here. We have, from the 1950s until the current time, thank you, I don't have to stand on my tiptoes. Okay, we have a history, a legacy of athletic directors at the University of New England that have covered every decade, starting with Jim Beaudry in the 1950s, Carol LaRue, this amazing group. This is a hat trick, these 3 people, and Jack McDonald, what he's done for our university in the time that he's been here. So at the end, I would really like the 3 of you to come up here. You're covering 7 decades of UNE athletic leadership and have your pictures taken. So I really am happy that you're all here, and all of us owe you a debt, to the 3 of you. Please. I have to tell you, growing up in Portsmouth, Ohio, back when I was 9, 10 years old, I loved the Cincinnati Redlegs. They were the Redlegs then. That tells you how old it was. Ted Kluszewski, Wally Post, Johnny Temple, Roy McMillan, Frank Robinson, Veda Pinson. I can tell you the whole lineup. I loved them. My goal in life was to be the first Batgirl in the National League for the Cincinnati Redlegs. I think that's when I really grew to love sports. So whether as a participant, as an observer, or as somebody cheering, the competition brings people together in really special ways. When I came to UNE 11 years ago, athletics was an important part of the university, but it was a very small, much smaller group of students that were able to participate. We just didn't have as many opportunities. But I knew that the student athletes' lives were made richer by everything they did here in their participation. It has grown now to really a sweeping, galvanizing force. And Jack McDonald has led the way in the short time he's been here to bring it front and center. And you can see by the video that you saw at the beginning what a powerful force our athletics department is in the life of our university. My role, I always felt, was to provide our athletes with training facilities, newer, better fields, brighter lights, greener or bluer fields, which I really like our big blue field. So we moved in a whole new direction in adding those facilities, and they have paid us back tenfold. They've delivered everything that we could have hoped for. With the facilities, the ice, the courts, the fields, none of that would matter if we didn't have students playing on them. The student athletes that we have at UNE really inspire me. Every time I see these teams, these are kids who work hard, many of them science majors doing labs at night, but they show up for morning practice. They put in the extra effort, and they carry the name of the University of New England to places where we would never have been before. We play hockey with MIT and Boston College. Our women's rugby, we got beat by Harvard, but then we came back and beat Dartmouth and Bowdoin in the next 2 weeks. So we have an opportunity here in New England to play against some of the most established and prestigious institutions of higher education on the planet. And our students are going there, and they're meeting them. And it's our athletics department that's carrying them forward. If you had been here in this facility last February and watched our women's basketball team win their 4th straight Commonwealth Coast Conference championship, it was a really powerful game. Or the first game, men's and women's hockey, that we played on our ice rink here in the Alfond Forum, and seeing the excitement in those students, athletes' eyes, I think you would have been moved as well. We've had a lot of cheering and, as I said, a little crying, because these bring powerful emotions to everyone. We've had the 15 conference championships, the win rate. I have to laugh when Kurt was saying that about going from the low 40s to 70% win rate, because somebody in the athletic department must have put the word out, because every time we have a new coach now and I meet them, they say, "I hear you like to win." And I say, yes, I do. I think it's good that we win. UNE has grown in many ways, and I have been privileged to lead this remarkable university. And I want to say that I believe this honor tonight, I am very touched to be a part of this athletics department. And we have more things coming, so stay tuned, because it's only going to grow and become stronger. But the commitment, the achievement that our students bring to this really gives me pride and reminds us, as Carol said, what it means to be a Nor'easter. And tonight, as much as I am touched by this, I really would like to dedicate my award to our student athletes, to all the students at the University of New England. Thank you.
What a wonderful night. Let's give one more round of applause to all of our inductees. I think every single one of those speeches and comments came from the heart, and it tells us all why we love sports. It's such a great, great thing. A couple of announcements from Amy and alumni. The St. Francis Class of 66 breakfast is at 9 o'clock tomorrow in the St. Francis room. And the St. Francis soccer team, Peter has a letter for you to sign. So 2 orders I received. Do a good job, Amy. I hope I got everything. As you entered the forum tonight, you saw our walls covered with a nice blue drape and a Hall of Fame display. I really want to thank those that put this together tonight, starting with, of course, President Ripich, Senior Advisor to the President, John Tamil. You heard a lot of good things about John tonight. Of course, Senior Associate Athletic Director Kurt Smythe, who put together all these plaques and all the text and all the program and everything that went on here this evening. Rob Verrier and his wife Sarah are here tonight for the design and the editing and the installation of such a wonderful display. Before you all leave tonight, we want to make sure that all the inductees, our 5 individuals and our men's soccer team, to meet us in the lobby for an unveiling. Please bring your plaques, and we'll have one more special moment to celebrate a wonderful induction tonight and also the display of our 40-plus inductees of the past. So without further ado, I want to say thank you all for a great evening. We'll see you in the lobby in a few minutes, and members of the athletic department, please come forward. Okay, thank you all very, very much.